Welcome back to Xbox Corner, my name's Luke, and for today's Leaving Game Pass video you've got my dulcet tones to listen to, as Alex is a little under the weather, but hopefully he's through the worst of it and will be back in a few days time. Today though we've got another 6 titles leaving Game Pass, and there's a couple of decent ones in there, but we've also got a new batch of games coming to Game Pass which we'll be covering off in an upcoming video, so make sure to subscribe to be notified when that goes live. For now though, make sure to hit that like button to help out us and the channel, subscribe if you're looking for more Xbox deals, reviews and Game Pass content, and let's get started. So as always with these videos, we're going to be covering off the time it takes to complete the main story, if it has one, and the completionist time for all you glory seekers out there looking to 100% the game, and you'll find these up in the top left corner of the screen. Now our first title to leave Game Pass is one that many, including myself, will no doubt be very sad to see go, as Enter the Gungeon is in my opinion one of the best roguelike dungeon crawlers on the service. Tasking you with shooting, dodge rolling and table flipping your way through procedurally generated dungeons on your quest to find a legendary gun that can kill the past, Enter the Gungeon's bullet hell fortress is a tough nut to crack, requiring speed, precision and a little bit of luck from the player as they descend through its floors, collecting ludicrous items and overpowered weapons as they go. It's also one of the few roguelikes which gets 2-player co-op right, allowing players to select from an assortment of colourful characters, each with their own perks and starter weapons, and while it's definitely one of the more challenging roguelikes on the market, that just makes progression in the game feel so much more rewarding, and if you haven't yet given it a go, I highly recommend you do before it leaves the service. So our next title, or should I say 2 titles, are the Final Fantasy X and X-2 HD remasters, which were added to Game Pass some time ago now, but with the recent addition of the Final Fantasy XIII games it seems their time is up. Now this 10th entry in the Final Fantasy series follows the journey of Tidus and co as they travel alongside a summoner called Yuna, becoming a de facto guardians, as she embarks on a pilgrimage to defeat Sin, a world-threatening behemoth. And while these games were by no means my favourite ones in the series, they did introduce some interesting mechanics. The classic job system was back in the form of dress spheres, garments which change your character's abilities and loadouts, allowing them to fulfill different roles. There was also the sphere grid, a huge collection of linked nodes used to level up a character, and then there was the Blitzball minigame, a kind of aquatic game of football, which was just ridiculously addictive, and I probably spent just as long playing that as I did the rest of the game. If you're a JRPG fan though and haven't yet tried out Final Fantasy X or X-2, then I'd say that they're definitely worth a play. Now the third title on today's list is one that I'd like to say people will be sad to see go, but after the controversy that the GTA Remastered trilogy caused, of which GTA San Andreas is part of, I'm sure that many instead will be saying good riddance. Now, like the rest of the games in today's list, we're assuming that this one will be leaving on the 15th of May, and while things did get off to a rough start with the trilogy, alongside the other 2 games, San Andreas has received several major patches to fix its most glaring issues. Now whether or not it's worth playing at this point is still up for debate, but the game still remains one of the best in the series. Both its storyline and gameplay were fantastic at the time of release, and San Andreas introduced a ton of different mechanics which were influential to both future GTA games as well as a bunch of other open world action games. If you've yet to experience any of the remastered trilogy, then you might want to check this one out as a bit of a taster before it goes, but if you own the originals, I'd say just save yourself the hard drive space and just stick to playing them. So with Shredders recently being added to Game Pass, it'll likely come as no surprise that it's a case of out with the old and in with the new with this one, as Ubisoft's Steep is set to leave the service this month. Now I remember playing Steep briefly back in the day, and there was a great feeling of freedom to its open world as you had a literal mountain to carve your own route through using a combination of snowboards, skis, paragliders and wingsuits. While the mechanics of each were relatively simple in comparison to something like the aforementioned Shredders, its real focus was on providing a variety of different ways in which to explore the world, and I felt like it still did them well enough to be fun. Plus, who doesn't like ploughing face face-first into a tree at 100 miles per hour. The visuals of the game were also pretty decent for the time too, and though I'm not entirely sure how alive the player base for it still is, playing online was also pretty cool. All in all, a fun game and well worth one last play. So our penultimate lever today is The Catch, Carp and Coarse fishing, which I have to admit is not a game that I've even heard of, let alone played. But as with Steep, it looks like this one is being removed due to Bassmaster Fishing 2022 having been added to the service a couple of months ago. Now if you're into your fishing games, this one looks like an enjoyable enough catch, giving you 35 different species of fish to catch across 5 unique destinations, and if you like a big old rod to wrap your hands around, then the game has equipment from over 20 licensed partners. Going by the lack of any sort of completion time, I presume this is more of an arcade-like fishing game where you just get to go out on your boat, cast your line and hope to pull a whopper, and the only other thing that I'm not too sure about with this one is whether or not you gain access to hard drugs on it too, because this fella in the game's screenshots definitely looks like he's been on something. Either that or he just really likes his fish. On to our final title in this roundup then, we have The Wild at Heart, and this is not one that I've played myself, but it sure does have a fantastic art style going on, and going by its ratings, it does seem to be one that a lot of people have enjoyed. Now, gameplay in The Wild at Heart is a mixture of exploration, puzzle and strategy as you explore a whimsical world filled with all manner of quirky creatures, amass a swarm of spritelings to do your dirty work for you, and unravel the mysteries of this strange land. The game also looks to include some crafting mechanics, as well as battles with an assortment of strange beasties as you launch your spritelings at them and then use your hoover thingy to retrieve the poor living projectiles. And there looks to be a fair amount of gameplay in this one, clocking in at around 11 hours for a playthrough, which should be more than doable before the middle of the month. And so that just about does it for this first batch of levers, which should be confirmed as being around the 15th of the month, but will you be sad to see any of them go? I'm especially curious to find out if anyone actually enjoyed the GTA San Andreas remake, so let me know down in the comments section below. Alex will likely be picking up on the new additions to Game Pass this week as I'm off for a nice little procedure, but I'll likely be back next week with some new content. But if you enjoyed this video, show your appreciation and help us out by dropping a like. Don't forget to subscribe for more Xbox Game Pass content as well as regular deals and reviews, and I'll no doubt catch you all in the near future. Thanks everyone, take care.